Hey guys, and welcome back to Sam Rick's Interviews. And today I'm going to rank all of the Pixar movies, but on a tier list, as there are too many of them to just do a traditional ranking. This will be from Toy Story all the way to the newest released Soul. Um, there are 5 tiers: amazing, great, good, and meh and bad. Now, I don't think any Pixar movie is necessarily bad. Even their worst film for other studios would be a pretty good film. Anyway, let's start it off with their second feature, A Bug's Life. I'm gonna put this in the good tier. A couple years ago, or even earlier this year, I would have probably put it in the great tier. But this year, right now, I'm gonna have to put it in the good tier. I wouldn't rank it necessarily in my top 10 anymore, as I love this movie when I was a kid, but I do think it doesn't really hold up as well. Brave, meh, it's okay. It's good. Um, It's fine. There's really nothing about it that makes me really want to rewatch this. This is the one I've rewatched the least. I've only seen it twice, and I don't really have the desire to rewatch it. Cars, the original Cars. I'm gonna put that in the good tier, but ahead of A Bug's Life. And I was about to put this in the great tier, as I do think that this is a movie from my childhood that did hold up, but I'm not gonna put it necessarily in the great tier, as there are other movies that I think are better than that. Cars 2, meh, but it's high in the meh tier. Um, I was thinking about putting on the good, but I don't think I can go that far and putting it on the good. But I really did. When I rewatched it, I thought it was fine. I thought it was okay. Just like Brave, I do like it better than Brave. I'd rather rewatch it. This is the movie that I watched the most when I was a kid. Um, Me and my friend would watch it a lot. But Cars 3 goes in the bad. No, I'm kidding. Cars 3 goes in the great tier for me. I love this movie. I saw this with a bunch of friends. And the trailers themselves really win this movie over for me. Also, it's the most mature Cars movie. I know it's weird to even say that any of the Cars movies are mature, but the third one is. So if I were to rank them, the second one would be the worst, and then the first, and then the third. I think that Cars 3 is one of the best Pixar movies they've put out since well, in this new kind of age, in the 2010s decade. I feel like it's definitely top 5 for me of that decade. Now Coco, amazing. I'm gonna put it high in the great tier. Amazing for me is like classic, great movie. Well, these are still great. They're just not amazing and absolutely one of my some of my favorite movies, but it does deserve its place on the great tier. Um, I do think it's worse than Cars 3, but I'm gonna put it ahead of Cars 3, just just because of the music, the animation's great, the cast is great. This, a lot of people believe, was a return to form for Pixar. I do not believe that. I believe that Toy Story 3. First of all, I believe that Pixar never lost their spark, as some of their sequels, as you'll see later on, are great. Now, Finding Dory. On paper, I should like this movie. It has Eugene Levy in it, Ty Burrell, Ed O'Neill, just great comedic actors in there in the mix. But it didn't work for me. I remember seeing this in theaters and I loved it in theaters, and I got it on DVD and I loved it. But the more I think about it and on rewatch, it kind of annoys me. And I don't think Dory. I don't. I was thinking about putting this on the bad tier, but I think it deserves to be on the high meh tier. as there are some parts that I do enjoy, but overall it doesn't work for me as much as I hoped it would. Finding Nemo, amazing. No, great tier. I gotta put this in the high great tier. Um, I will put it in the amazing tier. Finding Nemo was just great. I also grew up with this movie. I loved it, watched it a lot. Um, just all the characters are so memorable. The emotion in here is great. I overall saw it's a great movie. Well, it's an amazing movie. Inside Out. Now, when I first saw this movie, I really didn't like it, but then I got it on DVD and I watched it a lot, and I liked it more. Do I think it is amazing? No. Do I think it's great? Uh, yes, I do think it's great. I was debating of putting on the great or good tier, but I do think it is low great tier. Just the more I think about it, and more people now are starting to not like it as much. But I do think, in my opinion, I think it is Pete Docter's weakest movie, but I do still think it is a strong movie. Monsters Inc. Um, this is gonna go in the amazing tier. Probably one of my top three favorite Pixar movies, and it's definitely in my top 10 movies of all time. I love this movie. I watched the crap out of it. It's the most easiest to rewatch. Steve Buscemi, Billy Crystal, John Goodman, they all do great jobs in here. Now the sequel or prequel, Monsters University. Um, I also watched this in theaters, and I didn't love it as much as the first one. When I was younger, I did think it was better than the first one, but this Pixar movie actually deals with that it's okay to fail and it's okay to screw up, or like it's okay to, like, when you work really hard for something and then you fail, that's okay. And I do really think it's a fun college movie, and I do think it deserves to be on the great tier. It was directed by Dan Scanlon, the same person who directed Onward, which is the next movie on this list. Onward. When I first saw it, I would have put it in the amazing tier. Now, I'll probably put it in the high grade. You know what? I'll put it in the amazing tier. I loved Onward. I've seen it like three times. Chris Pratt, Tom Holland, Octavia Spencer, everybody in here does a great job. It's funny. It's a fun road trip, and I do think that this one will go down as one of Pixar's um, a classic. Not many people would put it in their top five. Me personally, I think it's top seven, top six material. Ratatouille, also amazing. I'd put this probably as my favorite Pixar movie. This movie is great. Again, it's one of the most creative movies. It's directed by Brad Bird, and on paper, again, I don't. This shouldn't work, but it just does. And oh boy, does it work in a great way. Soul, Pixar's newest movie. Um, I'd say it's probably my. It's definitely in my top five favorite Pixar movies. Oh boy, did I love this movie. I think this is a great movie, and if you're a fan of animation or Pixar, you should definitely check this one out. I think Pete Docter created another masterpiece. He's definitely Pixar's best director and probably one of the best directors, period. Um, Soul was just great. It was funny. It had a great message, and it's not for little kids. Normally, Pixar movies are aimed for kids, but adults who could enjoy them. I think this is aimed for adults, but kids could enjoy parts. Some kids if you're under the age of 8, I don't think you'll enjoy this. But if you're over, you could possibly enjoy it. But I love this movie. It is great. One of Pixar's best. 2020 was a great year for Pixar. The Good Dinosaur. Um, I'll put this in the good tier. I really did enjoy it when it came out. I was going to see it in theaters, but we ended up not seeing it. But I still really enjoy it. This movie, the animation is great, but everything else is a little weaker. But it's still a good, solid Pixar movie. Incredibles 2. Amazing. I watched this movie so many times. It's hilarious. The action is great, and I think that it does exceed the expectations that were set for this. A lot of people didn't like the twist villain. I also do not like the twist villain, but I do think overall the movie was great. And if you're a fan of Pixar or superhero movies, definitely give it a shot. Now, The Incredibles. I'm debating on putting this on the good or great tier. I will put it on the great tier just because I will probably get crap for putting it any lower. I do think it's better than Monsters University and Inside Out. Um, I really did enjoy this movie. I watched this movie again a lot as a kid. But as time goes on and every time I rewatch it, it kind of gets a little worse, just like Inside Out for me. Now we're moving into Toy Story movies. Toy Story 2 is a great movie. I really did love Toy Story 2. I think with Al and that storyline and Jesse and that song in there, I think this movie is a great, solid movie. Toy Story 3 is actually my favorite Pixar movie. I love this movie. Um, Again, I watched a lot of Pixar movies when I was younger, and this was the one that I think I watched the most, other than A Bug's Life. I really did love this movie. From the two ending scenes with the fire or the end giving his toys away. Now, I do think that this was a perfect ending, but I was open to a sequel. And now let's talk about Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 for me is a great movie. You know what? Yeah, I will put it in the great, um, top great tier, almost breaking amazing. As you can see, I am a fan of Pixar's newer movies, but I think that this movie was solid. The cast was hilarious. Duke Kaboom, Ducky and Bunny, Forky, everybody was just did a great, amazing job in here. And Josh Cooley, who directed the horrible short George and AJ for Pixar, came back, won an Oscar, and oh boy, this movie was great. Toy Story, it's good. It's good. I didn't really grow up on this one as much as Toy Story 2 or 3, but I did watch it a few times. The animation, though, I know it's revolutionary, but it's not as good as I don't think it's a good movie, solid movie, but I don't think it deserves to be on the great tier. Up. Up will probably go low great tier, above Inside Out. Um this movie, the first 10 minutes alone puts it on this great tier, and the rest of the movie isn't as good, but it's still great. It's just because the first 10 minutes was phenomenal, and it didn't quite live up to it. Now, Wally, bad. I absolutely hate this movie. It is stupid. Whoever Andrew Stanton was out of his mind. I'm kidding you guys. This movie is probably in my great tier. I've only seen this movie twice or three times, and each time this is one of those movies that gets better each time you watch it. Um, I just really think that Wall-E is a great family movie, but it's also kind of poetic in a way, and Fred Willard's in here. It's just great. So in a normal ranking stance, this is how I would rank them. 23rd place, Brave. 22nd place, Cars 2. 21st, Finding Dory. 20th, The Good Dinosaur. 19th, A Bug's Life. 18th, Cars. 17th, Toy Story. 16, Monsters University. 15, Inside Out. 14, Up. 13, Toy Story 2. 12, Incredibles. 11, Wall-E. 10, Cars 3. 9, Coco. 8, Toy Story 4. 7, Incredibles 2. 6, Onward. 5, Finding Nemo. 4, Soul. 3, Monsters Inc. 2, Ratatouille. And in first place would be Toy Story 3. So there's my ranking and my tier list. Please tell me your tier list down below in the comments section. Leave a like, and remember, may the force be with you.